go to office hours. It will help you. Trust me. Sponsors of this video are Education Matters Zimbabwe and Education USA Zimbabwe. Hi everyone, welcome back. My name is Kudzai, and today I am bringing you another video where I'll be explaining the American college system. It's very, very different from high school in Zimbabwe and the university and college system in Zimbabwe. So in this video today, I'll basically be breaking down the American college system and highlighting some of the main components of it. In this video, the topics I'll be covering are the following: courses and credit hours, lecture courses versus discussion-based classes, office hours, very important, tutoring, your GPA, and the most important, picking your major. So let's get right into it. So a course is basically the subject that you will be studying for that academic term. Every single course is assigned a credit or a number of credits. Every university has a maximum number of credits that you can take each semester. I will explain this with the context of the school that I go to. I go to Earlham College, and each semester you can take a maximum of 18 credits, and each course has different number of credits assigned to it. So for example, this past semester I took an art class. That class had 4 credits assigned to it. I took my senior capstone. That class had 4 credits. Was it 4 or 1? I'm not sure. And then I took 2 music classes. They each had 1 credit assigned to them. And then I took another art class and also a creative writing class. So in total, I had 6 classes, and the total number of credits that I was taking was 14. Well, another thing to keep in mind is how many credits you're taking as an international student, because you need to take a minimum of 12 credits to still be in good standing for your F1 visa. So keep that in mind. And so I'll put the explanation again that I put of the course, the credit hours, the maximum credits that you can take, the minimum number of credits that you can take. So all of that will be right here. So make sure you know how many credits you need to graduate for your degree. So in my case, I needed 120 credits, and over the 4 years, each year I have 2 semesters, and I had to break down and be like, okay, so in the fall, I'm not doing that many activities, so I can take all 18 credits. In the spring, however, I have other commitments that I have, and so I would lower the load down and maybe take 14 or 15 credits. So make sure that you know how many credits you need to graduate, how many credits can you take each semester without being charged extra, and what are you on track for graduation. Next up is lecture-based versus discussion-based classes and courses. So a lecture-based class is usually a very, very big class. An example that I have for me is that I took a politics class in my freshman year, and it had over 60 people. And we would sit in a very big lecture hall, and the professor would give us readings beforehand and come to class, and basically what they would do is lecture us on the material and also give their insight on the readings that we've had. There would be some component of answering questions and class participation, but for lecture-based classes, usually those are very heavy on quizzes to see your progress on the readings. Also labs, if they have labs, those are very important for you to be able to practice that material that you're learning in class. And then also they would have a paper component to them. So usually a first paper, a midterm, and then a final paper that is also due for that lecture-based class. Lecture-based classes are bigger, and they have a different way of testing your engagement with the material in that class. And so we're going to talk about discussion-based classes. Usually those are very intimate classes where you will engage with your peers and your professor and really discuss the material at hand in the class. Just like a lecture-based course, you do have the material to read beforehand, but There will be more time in this class to be able to engage with your peers, understand how they understood the material, and you'll be able to break down some concepts that are very big in the class, and you'd be able to share your own personal anecdotes and your personal standing and relationship with the material that you've engaged with. And so discussion-based classes, usually very small. Participation is very, very, very important because that's how you'll be graded. How are you engaging with the material? How are you engaging with your peers? How are you engaging with the professor? Are you participating? You have to participate. You have to do your readings. You have to be able to say something in that class that is of meaning. And so that is the difference between lecture-based and discussion-based classes. You are expected to participate because it's usually a bigger part of your grade, like maybe 30 to 40% of your grade. And so you have to do the readings, you have to show up to class on time, and you have to engage with your peers. Office hours. Office hours are basically the time that your professor will be working from their office on campus, and you're able to book a specific time or just pop into their office, ask them questions, and also be able to get help with some assignments or be able to clarify some issues that you have with the content or material in the class. It is not the time to be going to say to the professor, I don't get it. You need to go to office hours prepared with questions on hand. Don't just go and sit there. Your professors are busy people. They have other things to do. Ask questions. Write down what you did whilst you were doing your homework or your assignment, and then ask them questions from there and be like, hey, I took this step and did this and did that and got this outcome. Where did I go wrong? Office hours. They are very, very, very important. It's different from high school where if you went and you talked to your teacher, you are a teacher's pet, or that you were in trouble. No, office hours are very important because if you're in a very big lecture-based class, that's one way you can get to know your instructor as a person. Your professor is also a human being. So you need to be able to, get to know them as a person and relate with them. And also for them to be able to get to know you as a person, what your academic goals are, what your future goals are after college. I would say you need to go to office hours. If your professor has office hours, sign up for them. Make sure you're stating what your goals, what your intentions are, what you hope to get out of that class, because usually from office hours, that's where people get job offers, that's where people get internships. And so you need to be able to go there ready and prepared and not waste the professor's time. Go to office hours. It will help you. Trust me. Tutoring. So tutoring is basically a structured way for students who are not feeling very confident with the material to be able to go and ask a peer or another student who has probably taken the class before for help with specific parts of understanding the material and the assignments that are given by the professor. One thing that tutoring is not is that the tutor does not do your homework. They will not answer your questions directly for you and be like, hey, what's this answer? No. That is not what tutors do. Tutors are there to ask you Socratic questions, to ask you questions that are open-ended, for you to be able to develop that critical thinking on your own and be able to complete your assignments within your own understanding and not just get spoon-fed the answers by the tutor. I actually was a tutor the past 3 years of my academic career at Earlham, and I was a writing center tutor, and people would come in with their papers and I would read aloud their papers, or they would read aloud, and I would ask questions. I was there as that human component for someone to be able to be like, hey, I have this paper. It's not in a subject that I as a tutor would understand, but as an outsider, am I making sense? And so that's what tutors are there for. Tutors are not there to do your homework. Make sure you go for tutoring hours if you feel like you're struggling or you need someone to bounce ideas off of who is not the professor. go to tutoring. It's there, it's a service for you as a student, and you will be doing a disservice to yourself if you do not go and utilize that resource. Next up, I'm going to be talking about your GPA. Okay, so basically what your GPA is an average of all of the grades that you've gotten for that semester. So basically what your GPA is a way to convert your letter grades to a numerical scale. Usually it is on a scale from 0 to 4.0. And so I'm going to read out some of the important components of the GPA. The letter grade A+ converts to 97 to 100, and that's a GPA of 4.0. And then a B is 83 to 86, and that's a GPA of 3.0. And anything below 72 or 70, so 70 to 72 is a C-, which is a 1.7. That is not good. And anything below 65 is a fail, or an F. So one thing you do need to keep in mind when you do come to the US is that your grading in Zimbabwe is very, very different to grading in America. As you can tell from what I had said, that I will put a list of all of it here. It's very, very different. The A is very high and is in the last 3 percentile at the top, and it's not stretched out the way it typically is with like Cambridge or ZimSec exams. So that's another pointer right there that you should know about your GPA. Make sure you're in good standing regardless of what academic pursuits that you're pursuing. So that is something to bear in mind. The next thing I'm going to talk about is picking your major. This is very important because this is something you'll be doing for 4 years. And I personally, how I picked my major is that I used this 9-step, I'm not sure if it's 9 steps, but it's a 9-step question base that I used, and actually had to talk to my professors and my advisors about this because I came in and I was undeclared. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, whew, I'm in college, I have made it, but I needed to figure out what my major was. And so the 9 steps, I've written them down and I'm gonna share them with you. The first one is, what are your abilities? What are your values? Does this major align with your values? What are your interests? What are your passions? Will you enjoy it years from now? Who knows? Is it employable? Is that major employable? Is something you need to ask yourself. What can you do with it? Will it be around later on in life? Thinking of the age of the internet that we are living in, how else could you use that major that you're doing? Is it something that's going to be obsolete now? How else will the technology and technological advancements influence this major that I'm trying to pick? Thank you so much for watching this video and getting to the end, and I will be releasing a video every Tuesday and every Friday, so be on the lookout for that.